I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners work session agenda, February 24th, 2021. And we have some bids to open, but we're going to go to item A first. Ms. Purdy.
Yes, good morning. What I'm bringing to you is a request that you approve this agreement today, and I'll bring it back to the formal agenda next week. But this is what I'm terming the second phase of our installation of the LED hovers that have been going in our ceilings that provide disinfection solutions. I've also asked for Bill Melland, who I've been working with from LED Indy, to be made a panelist, and I'm not sure if Michelle saw that, because he will be able to answer questions much better than I can. But this particular request is so that we can finish out the project. It provides for them to be placed into the health building. That building was under renovation when we did the first walkthrough. The activate part of the health building, and futures. I don't know, we missed futures somehow, and we also missed the assessor's office. And then there's a couple of others that we, once people got kind of back into the offices, we could see how they were being used. And so we've got a couple of extras that are added in because there's more than one person in a particular area. So this will finish out the project. This will be paid from County General. It's actually going to come from the CARES location that you guys are familiar with. And this cost will be, I want to say, $43,729. So if you have questions, I would probably direct those to Bill, and he will be able to answer all kinds of things for you.
Let's see if there are questions from my colleagues.
You changed.
Yeah, I guess. How does this work?
Sorry. I laugh because I joke with Bill and I say it's kind of like, the emperor's new clothes. I shouldn't say that, but that is what I think of every single time. But he is able to explain this product, and that it's been proven and used a lot of times in surgical suites. So Bill, if you can somehow unmute yourself, that would be great. Although Michelle said he's already a panelist. Oh,
he is, and he's unmuted. So,
there we go.
Yep.
Here.
My video's not working for some reason, but
okay.
Yeah, to answer your question, the disinfection and the ability to knock down things like volatile organic compounds, formaldehyde or off-gassing from like plastic and pressed wood and that kind of thing is done by a scientific method called photocatalytic oxidation. And it was invented at the University of Wisconsin about 20 years ago, and it's gone through a number of iterations to make it more efficient. So there's a little box inside the hover unit, and you're bringing air in through a fan, and the little box has nanotubes that are coated with titanium dioxide and silver. And there's an LED light that shines on that, and the atoms of the titanium dioxide and silver, and it generates what are called reactive oxygen species, various hydroxyl radicals. And those hydroxyl radicals will basically impact on the virus or bacteria, anything that's going through there that's a pathogen, and damage the cell membrane. So in the case of COVID, it'll damage the little spikes that attach to your lungs so that it can't attach to your lungs. It'll also damage the cell membrane to basically burst the cell membrane so that the COVID virus would die. And if the cell membrane is penetrated, it'll also damage the RNA inside the virus so that it can't replicate. So it's sort of killing it 3 different ways. The hydroxyl radicals also are what knock down the volatile organic compounds. And it doesn't do it immediately, but in the various ones like that, you get various, some are 90%, some are 50%, some are hard to release. But anyway, when you turn this thing on and run it, it's basically going to deliver you several iterations of clean air in a room an hour. So it's disinfecting, and it's actually delivering clean air to what the CDC wanted as far as ventilation. It's almost like an internal version of opening your window, as well as killing the pathogens.
Thank you. That was a good explanation. It's been a long time since I took chemistry, so that part was maybe a little beyond me, but the rest of it, thank you very much. I did understand that.
Yeah, they're using it it's in use on the space station. So NASA's used this in the space shuttles and the space station to keep the air clear up there for the astronauts. And it's a proven technology.
Sounds very worthwhile.
The other nice thing for especially the courthouse building is that there are MERV 13 filters in this unit. The courthouse building doesn't have its own central HVAC, so there's no real way to filter the air there.
Yeah.
That was another CDC recommendation. If building owners could increase their HVAC filtering up to MERV 13, they were suggesting that because it could capture the coronavirus when it's attached to pollen or dust or whatever in the air. So that's another way it's removing it out of the air.
Thank you. It's certainly worth it to protect our employees and give them as safe and healthy a work environment as we can.
I guess one other thing I'll say is that we did this pretty judiciously. We didn't just put these things everywhere. We looked at all the spaces and tried to determine what were high-risk spaces, and basically, make them safer. Not make them safer to the point where it's a surgical clean room, but dramatically safer than what was there before. And I think it's also interesting that you've got a number of scientists, and Fauci among them, saying, hey, we're getting vaccines out there, but there's all these variants, and we don't really know yet whether how well these vaccines are going to protect against the variants. And the fact that even if you were vaccinated, you can still transmit the virus. So if you're breathing that virus in, you could transmit it to somebody else, even though you're not sick. And I think, the other thing this is protecting against is what's next. What's the next virus, or what's the next really bad flu? So when that happens a year, 5 years from now, you're in position to be protected.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to also bring up is it's not specific to just COVID-19. This is actually going to help our buildings be cleaner and safer for our employees and the public when they ever get back in, for just the viruses that we've been used to, if you will. And so this is a long-term, I think, investment that you guys have made, not just for COVID-19, but for other viruses and bacteria that are out there and people are subject to.
All right, Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, if I understand this right, it also protects against allergens, whether they're pollens or molds or things like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. It'll do that in 2 ways. One is if you have pollen, it can get captured by the MERV 13 filter. If it gets through the MERV 13 filter, the ions that are generated are going to put a negative charge on pollen and PM 2.5 and that kind of thing, which would cause those things to precipitate out and basically, fall down and, get attached to the rug or something like that, but get it out of the air. So it's also, besides just pollen and dust, it will reduce any kind of pollutants like PM 2.5 and PM 10. So if that's, somebody's burning, leaves or wood, or there's an industrial thing, west of Bloomington, and it's blowing sort of junk into the air, it'll reduce that as well.
Other questions, Commissioner Githens? Are you good? Okay. I have a question about the energy use that is required to operate these. We didn't get the info till just a few minutes ago. I haven't been able to find it yet. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, these units have a built-in LED light in them, as well as the fan. I don't think we've implemented one with the light so far, just because it wasn't necessary based on the lighting in the rooms. So we disabled the light. I think my recollection is that the fan takes about 20 watts to run, but I can send Angie a note.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think we should have that as part of our energy calculus, since we have them throughout so many buildings. I think we need to understand that even though we have fewer people working in our buildings, we're still purifying the air, and we're still doing multiple things to keep people safe for those who are present. And I think we need to have a good understanding of what that impact is going to be on our energy bills. I certainly wouldn't. I certainly would say that people's health is primarily important. It's just that we need to understand what the impact will be. So
yeah, I just pulled up the spec sheet. The fan, it takes 15 watts.
Okay.
And so 99% of these so far, and the ones that we're going to implement, are wired to the lighting in the room. So when you come in the morning to a courthouse or the health department or what have you, you turn the lights on, it'll start running. So it'll run all day while the lights are on. And then when you go home at night, you turn it off and it's not running. In YSB, there are specific locations where they requested to be specially wired to its own power, so they could control whether those things were on 24 hours a day or what have you. So you can do it either way, but in most cases, it's not necessary to run 24 hours a day.
Great, thank you so much. All right, excellent. So we need to, this is something we're going to need to ratify next week. Is that correct, Angie? So you'd like us to vote on it today?
I would, and I do think that this is something that we don't normally do, although we've done it already for the other buildings. I think it'd be good to bring it back to the public for next week for formal ratification.
Sounds good. So I would like to make a motion that we approve the LED India agreement for the installation of additional hover units.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Great, thank you so much, and we will have this on our agenda next week for public comment ratification.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. And we have some bids to open. Mr. Cockrell, tell us about it.
Well, these are bids, we received information, I guess. I don't want to call it a bid. We received information. This is for the Alexander Memorial. When we noticed this, we requested it be turned in at the courthouse this morning. The only item we received was emailed and not in conformance with the notice. Talking, our engineer from RC Engineers recommends that we do not open it this morning to keep the bid amount confidential and that we send it for a rebid. I think my recommendation, we've made this recommendation in the past, is when we only get one bid, we seriously consider rebidding. And I think given these circumstances, it would be even more so because of how it came in and that it felt like it wasn't organized and the knowledge wasn't out among people who would be willing to bid.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's what I've got.
Okay. Ms. Purdy, anything else?
I am not aware of anything else. And Lisa would be the only one, and I don't think she's
not
on here,
anymore.
so
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right. I just want to make sure that we move that bid forward as soon as possible because we do have a deadline to get this work contracted and or completed. And I know we've got a lot of folks in the community who are working on this, so it'd be really good to get that moving forward as soon as possible. So thank you all for that. I don't see any other department heads who have anything for our meeting today. Okay, so with that, our work session is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.